Thank you. So I'm Rohan McAdam. I'm Chief Architect and Senior Engineering Fellow with Honeywell Process Solutions. And I'd like to show you some of the work we're doing to take data related to process, people and assets and turn that into actionable insights and recommendations. In terms of background, there's a number of key challenges that everybody's facing. One of those is increased complexity of the operational and business environment. So that there are continual product and quality requirement changes. We have a range of assets that are aging, and we need to maintain the performance of those assets or ideally improve the performance of those assets over time. There are increased requirements for environmental and safety compliance and stewardship. There are workforce issues with turnover, skill gaps that need to be quickly and effectively closed. And there's an issue relating to data as well. So in some cases, the problem is that there's simply not enough data to make informed decisions about the current operational status of a facility or an organisation. In other cases, it's the reverse. There's too much data. And that's the second point here around point solutions that drive efficiency, reliability and safety. So today there are a number of point solutions that operate in those areas. They're increasingly model-based digital twins that can provide important and interesting insights into the performance of key dimensions of operations, but they tend to be disconnected, disparate systems with limited analytics across those solutions, which means that important insights and relationships between those aspects of operations get missed. So actually, and what makes that worse also is the user experience provided by a lot of those tools is actually quite poor, which makes it all the harder to synthesize information from these disparate sources, understand what they imply and plan a path forward. So there's really a need to move from just the problem of integrating data to create, if you like, intelligence integration. So take what's available in these point solutions, bring that together in a way that makes it much easier to understand and act upon. So, and as we do that, what we want to do is we want to be able to understand what's the operational situation, how does that compare with where it could be or should be, move to a more exception-based way of working based on alerts and notifications that drive people to focus on the right things at the right time in order to maintain and improve operations, and close the loop on the understanding of what the situation is, what it needs to be, how to achieve that, and then understanding the results of that as we go on. So what might that look like? So the key thing here is to build a layer of intelligence over the top of the point solutions that we have in place, as I said, which are typically increasingly model-based digital twins, to provide an at-a-glance overview of the operational status at various levels. So here we have an example from a fictitious mining company. In this case, it's an enterprise-level view, which is showing us some key KPIs related to key dimensions of the operational situation, together with something which is very useful, which is a roll-up of opportunities for either improving or protecting the operational situation, which is being surfaced by the underlying digital twins. If we look at this, we can see that, in fact, one of the regions in this mining enterprise has, of the $7.8 million of opportunity that's been identified by the underlying analytics, of that, $2.21 million applies to one region. If we drill down into that region, we can see a similar situation, but now focused on a region where we have that opportunity now broken out across various mines in that region. And we can see one particular mine has the biggest opportunity associated with it, which is the Yandi mine at the top there. And it accounts for $603,000 of that opportunity that's been identified by the underlying digital twins. We can also see that there are some specific recommendations related to the operational situation starting to appear, again being surfaced by the underlying digital twins. The important thing here is we're bringing that information together into the one holistic, coherent view of what's happening to make it much easier to understand and act upon. If we drill into the Yandi mine, we get an at-a-glance view of what's happening at that particular mine. And again, this visualization draws your attention immediately to the fact that there's some sort of issue with overall asset effectiveness. So that's worth looking at. And if we have a look at that opportunity in the top right-hand corner, we can see that of that $603,000 of opportunity at play, $125,000 of that has already been realised through various activities. There's $145,000 in progress, and there's still $286,000 on the table. So just given that high-level view, it's probably worth drilling into the asset aspects of this particular mine. We can go to what we refer to as an operational guidance display, which is now giving us a much more detailed overview of the operational situation for that particular mine. On the left-hand side, we can see we have some key production-related variables. In the centre, we've got some the performance of key assets at that mine. And then on the right-hand side, we've got these recommendations which are pertain to the assets and the production variables at this particular mine. So if we have a look at the mobile haul fleet, we can start to see that there are relationships surfacing now between the assets view of things and the production view of things. So we can see the mobile haul fleet is impacting on a couple of key production parameters there, the run-of-mine feed rate, plant feed rate. And also on the right-hand side, we can now see there are specific recommendations related to issues for that particular asset. If we go ahead and drill in a bit further and have a look at the particular recommendation there, it's related to a particular haul truck. It's recommending that there's a maintenance activity take place because there's a potential plugged oil filter which could lead to the failure of that asset, which would then cost us $205,000 a day. So at this point, we could go ahead and raise a work order to get that fixed. What's important here is we've been led down this path without having to be a specialist in asset performance or production performance or anything like that. We've taken that information from those underlying digital twins and presented it in a way that makes it easy to navigate. At this point, we could go ahead and start to close the loop on this by raising a work order, or it may be appropriate to drill into the particular digital twin which surfaced this recommendation by engaging a subject matter expert, an asset specialist, to maybe have a look at a detailed view provided by that digital twin of the haul truck in question. Okay, this would allow that specialist to verify, yes, there's a problem with the engine, there's increased oil pressure, which is consistent with that postulated plugged oil filter, and we should go ahead and do something about that. So we can go back. At this point, we could raise a work order, get that issue fixed, which would then resolve that issue, return that truck to service, and we should then start to see that the impact of that in the overall operational view of the organisation, of this mine in this particular point here. So, and so if we look up the top right-hand corner, we can see that we've got now, of that $603,000 opportunity that's been realised, we've now claimed $345,000 of that. There's $145 still in progress, and there's still $66,000 a day, which is on the table. At this point, we might want to direct our attention to the dozer fleet because there's potential impact there. So, what we're trying to do here is, pull that information together that's available in disparate sources today in a way that's easier to understand and easier to act on by providing a layer of intelligence over the top of those analytic solutions, those digital twins. The goal for us is to help make every day of your production your best day of production. We want to allow operations teams to quickly and easily determine what the productivity and the asset reliability and people effectiveness is at a glance. So these are tools for operations teams to help them do their job more efficiently, more quickly. As part of that, being able to identify quantified opportunities and actionable recommendations associated with those without necessarily having an expert in all of those various dimensions of the operational situation, perhaps engaging with subject matter experts as needed, but then going on to prioritise, assign and track that work to close the loop on the recommendations that have been surfaced so that you can bring your operations closer to where they should be, whether that's optimal or particular targets or plans. So, so if anyone's got any questions or further interest, we can talk about that after this session, but that's all I had. Thank you.